David. Let's get right into it today. Welcome back behind the velvet rope because we are joined by the one, the only Mr. Ashley Parker Angel.
What's up? Thanks for having me on.
Happy Friday. What is going on? How are you doing today? Tell me everything.
Terrific. I just got back from the gym. I'm feeling good. I got a cup of coffee here, which I live off of. Are you a coffee drinker?
I know you're a
Boom.
coffee. I am such a coffee
Oh,
drinker.
I want them. I need that mug. I collect mugs. I want one.
Listen, everybody loves this mug, and I'm not just this isn't like my shameless plug, but I don't know why. If I knew, you will get a mug, Ashley. But thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate. I'll buy a mug. Okay, I'll purchase one.
I'm not letting you purchase a mug. So you can try to purchase a mug. I'm going to block you from that. I will send you a mug.
I love it. It's
I
fine. Drinking coffee, chatting together. Thanks for having me on.
Well, listen, I feel so much better. I mean, you are the fitness guru. So if you say coffee consumption is okay, which I have questions about that later in the show, I already feel
Absolutely.
better. So listen, I do want to talk about, your current job and like high level performance academy and all of that. Of course, you just came from the gym. But before we get there, I like to start at the beginning. I say to people, the next time you come on, we don't need to go over the old ever again. But since this is our first time together, so here's my
Sure.
first question. When you said yes and went and auditioned for a show called Making the Band, did you ever think you would be here all these years later, having done so many different things in your life?
No way. No way. I had no idea, to answer your question, because I was like, I was from a very small town, Redding, California, which is about an hour away from Chico, California, if you know where that's at. And just born and raised in a very small, tight-knit community. And, I was lifeguarding at the time. I was working 2 part-time jobs. I was riding my bicycle everywhere. I was just trying to make it, and making the band, there was literally nothing like it. It was the precursor to all these shows that you see now. I mean, The Voice, American Idol, they were inspired by Making the Band. So to answer your question, no, it launched a journey that I never could have imagined.
I mean, that was my point, because like you couldn't say, well, look at Kelly Clarkson, look at Carrie Underwood, look what American Idol did. Like, how was this show like pitched to you, or like, when you heard about it, like, did you understand like really what it was and what it was possibly going to do?
No, not at all. I mean, in fact, I thought it was a scripted show, the way it read on the breakdowns at the time, that was like studying from a little tiny acting studio. There were 3 things in my life I loved: fitness, music, and acting. And I had a job at World's Gym, and I was working with a personal trainer, and I was trying to get in shape and start an entertainment career. And here this audition comes through that read like a scripted show, because reality TV hadn't broken out to the major networks yet. There was really just
Right.
Real World on MTV. So sent in my audition tape. I sang I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys on my guitar. And one thing led to another. And like about 8 weeks later, I moved to Florida and
So
never went back home.
you know what? If you chose like maybe a New Kids or an NSYNC song, you may not have never made it onto the show.
Right? It was all I Want It That Way, which was cool because years later I got a chance to work with Max Martin on my solo career and my solo album. We'll get into that. That's later.
So you get there, and I assume you figured out pretty early on that this was a reality show and not a scripted show.
Yeah, yes. Figured that out when cameras showed up at my parents' house.
So look, you obviously made it far and you made it to the end. Like, what was like that whole experience like? Because I mean, like you said, it really was the real world and like early reality TV. Like what was it like back then? Like really not knowing what to do and what to compare it to.
It was so intense because we were put through the ringer, so to speak. They had fine-tuned the process of Backstreet and NSYNC. This was going to be the TV version. You had Lou Pearlman there with a panel of judges. They're critiquing you on dance, on vocals, on stage presence. And then once we moved into the house, which was, of course, that real world spin, lots of drama, lots of boy band drama. Even before, it was 8 guys in a house, and then 5 guys were going to get picked from that, cranking up the reality TV drama there. And it was just, honestly, it was a lot of it is a blur, but it was very, you're living in a highly produced, highly manufactured situation where every move is caught on camera, hidden microphones in the house, hidden cameras. So it was a lot.
And like a lot of it is just a blur, which I mean is totally understandable.
I mean, I have like very specific memories. And the thing is, like, I can jog my memory by just going back and watching 3 seasons of Making the Band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just to put it in perspective, this was an experiment. So when you go on The Voice or you go on American Idol, there's already a record label attached. I mean, they might even have ideas on what your single is going to be because they've got professional songwriters and producers and everybody's attached. We had a whole season on Making the Band. We didn't even have a record deal yet. It wasn't until the end of it aired, and it was on like the 20th episode, and then Clive Davis signed us. But I feel like I spent a lot of that time always really thinking about the next thing. I feel like I've had a lot of entertainment careers move quickly, and I knew that when it happened. And as soon as it was a lot of uncertainty, even when we were in it, about would this work, because Backstreet and NSYNC were these superstar boy bands. And there was a question, was like, this is towards the end of boy bands. Is this even going to, maybe it'll be a great TV show, but maybe it won't be a successful music group. There was just a lot of uncertainty about it. And so I spent a lot of that time getting a Hollywood agent, trying to hone my craft as a songwriter, making inroads with producers and building my network, because it didn't feel like a sure shot. There was a lot of questions about it.
And that was all like while you were still on the show. It wasn't like, wait, there's Justin Timberlake and like, oh my God, I'm still on this show. It's week, whatever. Holy shit, life is going to change. It was like, okay, this could change my life, but it may not.
This could change, but this also might not work. And there was no record deal. We were trying to get a record deal while the TV show was on the air. It was on ABC Network. Here's this Making the Band show that comes out and people are watching it. We didn't even have a record deal. We didn't even have a single yet. It was very much an experiment. And I think for that reason, I was always trying to think about like, what's the next thing? And I think if you're smart about your entertainment career, you're always trying to think about like, how, what is that next step in my entertainment career? How do I use this to keep going?
I would agree with that too. My advice to anyone is never rest on your laurels, and that's just how this business works.
No, it's right. And can I share with you one of the best pieces of advice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it works for entertainment careers, but it also works for any careers, that you always want to interview or audition. We'll call it interview. You always want to interview for the next job while you have your current job. That's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever got, because a lot of people wait until they lose the job and then they scramble to try to get the next one. So I was told that at a young age, and I feel like I brought that mentality to Making the Band in O-Town.
I would agree with all of that. So so then there is this perception that after the show, like you're right, like you signed right away with Clive Davis, and like your first single goes to #1 with O-Town. Like there is a perception like it just happened overnight. Like, is that true? Like the show ended, you signed, and then